Welcome everyone to another EMA section. I'm Moonshine and I'll be your host today. We are joined by the team behind Obsidian, a project that is bringing a unique approach to the ecosystem and attracting attention with its vision and innovation. Representing the project today, we have Kevin who will be taking us through what they are building, the problems they are trying to solve, and what is ahead for the community. A lot of interesting questions have been prepared. So stay tuned as we uncover what makes this project worth watching. So to start with, Kevin, would you kindly introduce yourself and the team behind Obsidian?
Got it. Yeah, to do my brief intro, I came from TradFi myself, worked in banking, doing M&A, uh, advisory stuff in San Francisco. That's where I started my career out. And then after that, I pivoted out to VC, and spent about 5 years in crypto VC before doing my own thing here for Obsidian. Last place that I worked at was Galaxy Digital's venture arm called Galaxy Interactive, and where I was heading all the token investments, all the Web3 investments. And then since I wanted to build for something that was solving a problem that I had in crypto instead of trying to create a solution for a problem that doesn't exist in crypto, which I know happens quite a lot with a lot of the projects that are being founded and being funded in this space, I wanted to solve for that specifically. Um, so from there, I had a friend who's not here today, but he is my current CTO and co-founder. The guy is also a ex Coinbase engineer, worked at Coinbase for about 7 years. So he was a pretty senior engineer there. And since we were always talking about how we can do something together, after he sold his last company, which was also another PerpDex, we came together and tried figuring out what we could build together. And from there, since we both are retail perps traders, and since we had spent a lot of time trading in the trenches, we really tried identifying the missing piece in this space. And one of the biggest things that we were able to see was about a year ago when equity perps were not really a thing. I think you didn't even have Tesla and Nvidia, but it was just like being talked about. Those major US mega cap stocks that are related to AI or whatnot, or meme stocks, they had some volume, but not a lot. But from there, the biggest gap that I'd seen was the fact that I wasn't able to trade the specific assets that I wanted to trade outside of Tesla and Nvidia. And towards the end of this year or last year in 2025, all the major exchanges had like Nvidia and Tesla, but that was it. Now it's June 2nd in the US, and we know a lot of equity perps are available across almost all the decent DEXs and CEXs. But still, even to this day, we still have a massive gap where you can't trade a lot of the stocks that are outside normal suspect or usual suspects that we have: Nvidia, Tesla, and all the AI stocks, U.S. mega cap AI stocks, and then some South Korean stocks, which are just SK Hynix and Samsung Electronics. But aside from those, there's still many opportunities that are pumping especially in the APAC markets, that people seem to sleep on. For example, the Japanese version of Nvidia, or one of the NAND distributors, Kioxia they have pumped quite significantly even year to date. Same thing for SoftBank, because they have a massive position in OpenAI, which is going to IPO, in a couple months here. So there are these types of opportunities that I wanted to trade, but there are no places available to trade them, despite the fact that there's a lot of TradFi volume. So our intelligence layer, called the Pulse, literally identifies different events around the world that are happening. That includes, earnings announcements, from earnings announcements to random geopolitical events that are able to identify these events and analyze and say, hey, this is the underlying asset that's going to be impacted the most with the most volatility. We identify that. At the end, we have a human like myself validating whether it makes sense, and it's a market we can actually create through our market makers, and then we list it. That's the whole value prop. I'll pause there. I know I talked a lot.
No, definitely you didn't. I really always appreciate a very expressive background about who the team are, what you guys are trying to build, and how you guys actually started building the ecosystem behind the project. So I really appreciate that. So before I go ahead with my first question, um I got an information from the team that you wanted to like switch on your camera. So is that still visible or
Yeah.
just like only
Let
audio?
me, okay, how do I don't even see anything on my screen. Let me see.
Yes. The
Oh,
action is
just
something.
whatever. Okay,
So
it's a bit messy in the background. How do I turn on?
it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, okay,
So
whatever. I think yeah, you can see
yeah,
me
we
here.
could just continue. Whatever works. I just wanted to be sure that it wasn't because of me, because I didn't ask, and I'm sorry I didn't. So just going ahead to what I saw on the website. I saw a phrase, and I think you also kind of mentioned it. It's about the trading, right? So the phrase "trade anything" appears repeatedly on the website. So, but I just want to be sure because every market carries unique risks, data requirements, settlement changes. So, what internal framework determines whether a market deserves to exist on Obsidian?
Sorry, would you be able to repeat the question? You're a bit your mic, I think quality is a bit off for me, so I'm like trying my
Okay,
best to understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. You know what? Just try to switch off the video because I don't think it's showing.
Oh, is it
So
not
it's kind
showing?
of dragging. Yeah,
Yeah, she's rugging a little bit.
I think it's because of the video. So just try to switch
Okay,
off the
I just
video.
turned off the
Telegram
video.
is just acting weird. So can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's there's still a bit of like a fuzzy noise, like static noise that's accompanied by yeah.
So how is it now? Is it better?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
All right. So I was asking that the phrase "trade anything" appears repeatedly on the website, but we want to understand that every market carries unique risks, data requirements, settlement challenges. So is there like any external framework that determines whether a market deserves to exist on Obsidian?
Ah, okay. Good question. Good question. So, our initial focus actually won't be our infrastructure and the scale that we have currently, because we're bootstrapped and we have no VC funding whatsoever. We're not actually going to be going for everything possible initially when we start this launch, probably starting next week in our closed alpha. We'll actually just focus on APAC equities at first. And then once we see volume and once we actually generate real numbers in terms of metrics and revenue, from there we'll decide what to add and what makes sense. And also, this is something I don't know if people would be interested, and this is the reason why so many projects don't talk about what's possible and what's not, is to be able to make a market most of the time in conventional sense, you need to be able to hedge the markets that you're creating for the market maker. So what does that exactly mean? If I'm creating a market for weather, let's say, it's going to rain in a certain area for a certain amount of millimeters in rainfall. For you to be able to market make for that, there are future contracts on the traditional markets where you can hedge against a bet of yes or no, just like how normal prediction markets work. But if it's a topic that there is not enough volume for and not enough interest from people, it's almost impossible for you to be able to market make for those types of markets. So it really comes down to, is there enough interest and is there enough volume that are the most like important factors in deciding which markets are something that we can put on chain. I mean, obviously the settlement and all that will be on chain, but it still uses a lot of TradFi things to be able to settle and get the information from. That's just one example. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I don't know, it kind of leads to my next question, right? Because I see that Obsidian appears focused on creating entirely new categories of exposure rather than, just dwelling on what already exists in the market. So, but trying to use this approach, do you think it actually creates more long-term value?
I think you cut off in the middle of the sentence there. You said what long-term value? Sorry.
All right. So I was asking, many exchanges usually focus on creating better access to existing markets,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Obsidian appears focused on creating entirely new categories of exposure. So which of this approach do you believe creates more long-term value and sustainability?
Honestly, I think that's a question that I've been asking myself too, because it's almost like what makes us different from all the other perp dexes that are live right now, right? And the way I see it and the way I think is sustainable, at least for the time being, is there's a lot of assets that are already on other exchanges. We actually aim to list things that are not available anywhere else. Obviously, we'll have BTC and ETH as that's the pair that everyone has, but we'll provide for that with actually the best liquidity in case people want to fall back to BTC and ETH. But we have these rotating pairs that are purely off of the news, and obviously our main first focus is on APAC equities that are really benefiting from the AI rip that we're seeing in the entire stock market globally. And for us to decide what net new exposure, we'll start from the Asian equities that are usually trapped behind KYC and the country that you're residing in. One of the biggest gaps that we saw and that we wanted to solve for, and we think is sustainable as a long-term strategy, is being able to identify these stocks that are still mega cap in their own respective countries, but are usually gated in terms of access for you to be able to trade them. So we're opening up that door for people to be able to trade these types of assets that are usually locked behind those countries' regional gates. I hope that answered some of the questions.
Yeah, it definitely does. You kind of touched in on, my next question, which was the inclusion of, the elections, the weather, the interest rate, most of these things that are not seen as tradable because these are not really seen as traditional financial assets. So I was kind of curious to know what convinced the team that these belong on the same platform as BTC, Ethereum stocks, and ETFs.
So I think it goes back to a deeper thing where I talk about the attention economy. In today's day, everything is about attention, everything is about screen time. And if you, as a trading platform or any type of platform, I don't know if we can even call ourselves a trading platform once we start listing things that are just like never seen before. Um, when we list these types of things, people would want whatever's attention grabbing for them. And it may be stocks, it may be elections, it may be geopolitical events. And that's why some people thought that we were a prediction market platform, but we're not. Inherently we're starting off as a perp dex where you can trade perpetuals on a lot of equities that are usually gated for normal retail people to be able to trade from those countries. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for answering that question. So now, you know, under the multi-collateral trading, on the website, Obsidian allows traders to use different assets as collateral instead of
Mhm.
being restricted to a single stable coin. Now, when multiple collateral types interact within one risk engine, correlation become extremely important. So how does Obsidian account for correlation breakdown, especially during extreme market events?
Got it. So during Dark Swan, or yeah, Black Swan events. So for multi-collateral, that's a feature we have the technology to be able to execute, but initially we're not going to enable it all at once, but we'll start off obviously with USDC or USDT on Monad, and then we'll actually increase that coverage of multi-collateral across Mon and other assets. But it's not a feature we're prioritizing per se initially. And the math and the formula that goes into algorithmically making it as safe as possible for the multi-asset marginal trading, like it's all being considered. But initially, when we're rolling out, since we don't have the scale to really think about this yet, but we need to be able to have the volume and open interest and show that our PMM actually works with the differentiated approach that we're taking. Because I don't know if I forgot to mention this. One of the biggest differentiating things that we have from other exchanges, aside from listing APAC equities, is that we actually rotate pairs in and out. And what does that exactly mean? If a pair that we had listed, whatever asset it may be, maybe APAC equities or US equities or elections or whatever, we will actually rotate sunset the asset over time once the open interest and volume drops down. This is in order to solve for the liquidity issue, where if you're a catalog driven business like Hyperliquid, Lighter, or Aster, you have everything listed and you have as much liquidity as possible across all the assets. But what we do, going back to the attention economy, is that whatever has the most attention will put the most liquidity into those, and whatever loses interest from people will sunset those assets aggressively, but will communicate with our traders that you need to close your position, or you will be the position will close as is at the announcement of the time, and then we'll rotate whatever remaining liquidity from that asset pair to the next.
Nice. I think that gives us more insight. Thank you so much. So now let's move over to, the analytics dashboard. So I can see from the analytics dashboard that it goes beyond simply showing profit and losses, because it includes other metrics, right? So what are the biggest misconceptions traders have when evaluating their performance, and how was the Obsidian Analytics suite designed to address these blind spots?
So I'm going to be honest here. I think those types of features are just like things that every other exchange has. I don't think I would really call that a differentiating feature in terms of what we're showing, but something that I don't think we have publicly shown, but some of the members here who have joined here on our call, who's part of our closed alpha group, have seen snippets of where this is something that I haven't shared. I can share with you with either Dr. Felix or Moonshine, a direct screenshot. We have this thing, as I said, a pulse intelligence layer. It's a data intelligence layer. It scrapes the internet using many, many different sources, and it gives us what's the most volatile event that's happening and what's the underlying asset that goes with it. So using that engine, and with about 7 months of worth of back-end proprietary data that we trained the model on, this our pulse engine helps us detect the events and the assets and what to list. So using that information, we have created a pulse feed where, I hate using this analogy, but you know how on CoinMarketCap or any type of like major websites that show the pairs and then whatever major news events that are happening to that specific pair, we're doing that, but in a very much more like a Bloomberg terminal style, but it looks like more like Reddit forum, where it shows you the catalyst of an event that's happening and what are the impacted stocks, whether it's already listed or we're going to list on our own platform, and it gives you a very deep analysis on what's driving the news and what actually is causing the volatility. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but it is educating users who might not be as acquainted with the respective markets that they're trading because it's their first time trading in Korea, Japan, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, things like that. So we have like a more of a it looks like a professional trading terminal with information, insights that are usually gated for people, providing alpha.
Great. You can definitely share the screenshot with us so we can also, look through it. Thank you so much. So, and all of these things that you guys are trying to build, your platform is definitely trying to give traders what matters most: security, speed, liquidity, flexibility. So now my question is, because you just mentioned something like Koreans, like it's just like more like your first time trading and all of that. So how are you going to build a strong based community of traders? Because in a kind of way, they would be like the backbone of what you guys are building. So what in terms of, would I say, marketing? I didn't really want to use that word, but how are you guys trying to build a very strong based community of traders that would, use your platform and make it adaptable and
Yeah,
adopted by different regions?
yeah. So we're, as I said, we're not VC funded. We're bootstrapped. We don't have a lot of cash lying around like some of the other perp dexes who have raised millions of dollars from investors. Although I came from a VC background, that wasn't something that I'd accounted for. And because of that, I was forced to, and honestly, I'm the only one running the entire like non-engineering departments. Um, our marketing approach and building the community is more about people. It's a mixed match of monad community supporters who wants to be active and wants to adapt that does well, and professional traders who want the type of exposure that we're offering because it's not available anywhere else. Those are the backbones that we're starting off, but obviously we want to increase our reach and go with the people who would actually want to trade. Because in all honesty, I don't really care about points farmers. Yes, we have points. Yes, we have things in the background that are being calculated initially, but that's, I don't want to keep the focus there, and I don't want the wrong crowd to really get attracted to us. So we're not really making an effort to mass market about us, because I don't know what the actual CAC and the LTV that comes down to in ad spending and actually spending money on marketing per se. But I'd rather, just like how I first ever heard about Hyperliquid from a friend who told me that, oh, yo, look at this platform, it's better than Binance because it's actually listing things that are interesting, and it has pretty decent liquidity and good UI. So I go in and I'm like, oh wow, like this is great. And I didn't find out about Hyperliquid or Aster or Lighter because of ads, but rather like my friends who are active traders told me about it. And I want to go through the grassroots approach that way as well initially. Maybe it all changes as we get more money and we have financial means to hire more people, but at the time, in the meantime, it's all bootstrapped. I'm doing it all alone, so I'm trying my best here.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate your transparency in terms of that, because we know the kind of finance it takes to do, loud marketing and all of that. But definitely, if you guys are really building something strong and, users begins to use your platform, just the way, your friend told you about a certain project and all of that, that is the way words will go around to about Obsidian, right? So,
Mhm.
the website places significant emphasis on liquidity, which is something I really appreciate. Seeing what you guys are actually building is something that is very significant. So internally, I want to get like how Obsidian defines liquidity quality. What metrics matter beyond just raw trading volume?
Wait, would you be able to repeat the question? I'm not like liquidity requirements.
Yeah, I was asking internally, how does Obsidian define liquidity quality? What metrics matter beyond raw trading volume?
Oh, I mean, I think open interest, and I think volume, raw trading volume also matters too. But I think open interest is the real number that matters, because that's not something you can easily fake. So that's, I think we actually focus more on the open interest than just the pure trading volume. Although trading volume still helps too.
Okay. So are you guys also planning to have like do you guys already have a token?
What? Sorry.
A token. Do you guys have like an Obsidian token?
No, no, no. We don't have a token as of yet. It's more of, we'll do the token play once we actually start generating revenue and we think we're sustainable, because trying to do a token play with no revenue, I think it makes no sense. I think you've really seen with how Hyperliquid's been doing. Trying to do token play doesn't make any sense without revenue.
True. I just wanted to highlight that for those who are listening right now. So the next question I wanted to ask is about partnerships. What kind of partnerships are you guys looking to have? Is it what kind of organizations, similar projects, or what have you?
I'm really open to anything in terms of partnerships because I'm just working out with a few because we're in Monad and a lot of the Monad communities are very eager to work with us and are very excited about us. So it's been easier to have those conversations. Like NFT communities have also reached out. I had a stablecoin issuer also reach out. I mean, I'm willing to get creative and work with anyone. There's no limitations or what I'm looking for. I'm open for any ideas and willing to get creative on it. I mean, it came from DC. I know how to structure it. Whatever makes most sense for both parties, I'll do.
Nice, nice. So, the last question I have to ask is about the roadmap. What are you guys looking to build weeks from now, months from now? What milestone are you guys looking to cross?
Good question. So we actually launch our closed alpha next Monday at latest. That will only be for 40 to 60 traders. We have a lot of the spots filled out already. And those guys will have a lot of the affiliate codes that will have the best in terms of best economics for those guys. But we also have the normal tier affiliate program too. So that's happening right now on our wait list. You can easily find our wait list on our Twitter and my Twitter as well, X accounts. Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically all the questions I have to ask right now. But before we start taking questions from the community, do you have anything you'd like to touch on or mention that you feel we haven't discussed so far?
I mean, I'm always grateful for people listening in. This is my first time being a founder. I've always been on the VC side. I'm trying to solve for something that I wanted to see as a retail trader. It's not because somebody told me, I'm going to build a 1,000th stablecoin issuer or stablecoin infrastructure. I just wanted to build something that I could use on a daily basis. And if you are a passionate trader and want to gain access to assets that are usually gated, feel free to come trade. Hit us up on X. I monitor all of them. I literally do not ignore anything because we're still small enough. Yeah, I'm always happy to speak to people if they have. I know a bunch of people are raising their hands to ask questions too.
Okay, so the first question I just want to throw in here from the chat, Hoang is asking, what is the expected mainnet launch date?
Oh, closed alpha is next week. Mainnet launch will probably come. I'm thinking latest August 1st, where it's like full on public, where everyone can use it. If you're already on the wait list and you've been climbing the leaderboard, you will gain phased access. Like we'll do a phased launch where closed alpha starts next week, but we'll add more traders week over week, add a few more each week, and then ultimately do a full mainnet launch by August 1st at the latest, or even earlier, depending on how much interest we get. We currently have, since I last tweeted on Sunday, we now have about 1,400 people who had signed up for the wait list, and we had anticipated way less than that. So we're just trying to manage it as calmly as possible.
Okay, thank you. I hope that answered your question. So let's take a live question from Jordan. Jordan, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Moonshine. I hope you can hear me. Hello, Kevin.
Yeah, hello.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. So many platforms, they promise faster execution, deeper liquidity, such as your project. But what is the single hardest technical challenge that Obsidian still needs to solve before it can, genuinely compete with the largest perpetual trading venues? Basically, what do you guys need to accomplish before you're up there with the already known similar projects like yourself, and how are you approaching it?
So I actually am a firm believer that it's not about the latency speed. It's not the, 5 millisecond type of thing that's gonna make us break out. It's more of, in this crowded space of perp dexes, how can I have a PMF that makes sense, and why a normal daily trader would want to come over to our platform to trade instead of Hyperliquid. I can tell you, I don't trade on Lighter. I don't trade on Aster. All I use is Hyperliquid or Trade XYZ. Only time that I step away from those platforms is when Aster or Binance Futures or the CX lists assets that are not tradable in Hyperliquid. For example, they have a few like mega cap Chinese tech stocks that they listed recently. So unless we're solving for that, I don't think we're actually going to be able to challenge anyone. It is a niche in that we're able to detect stocks that are not already listed, but I know there's a pent-up demand for. And that's what I'm really solving for in terms of being able to provide for that, because any type of serious trader who wants that type of exposure in markets that they usually can't get from other exchanges, they'll come and trade. I know for a fact, because I've got a lot of whale users and like more mid-core, mid-sized users who already want to trade, because we're giving them access to a market that are usually closed off and are not listed on any other exchange possible on chain.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the clarification there. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jordan, for asking the question. So let's have Habibi. Habibi, go ahead with your question, please.
All right, thank you very much, Moonshine. Great hearing me so far. So my question is on liquidity fragmentation, which is a growing challenge in DeFi. As liquidity becomes increasingly spread across chains and protocols, how do you ensure users continue receiving competitive execution without introducing excessive routing complexity?
So this goes back to how I talked about us keeping our list of assets not too big, because we're only focusing on assets or pairs that have enough volume and open interest. Algorithmically, we will start flagging assets that are losing its open interest and volume over time, and then the human decision makes, we make the decision to, we make the judgment to delist these assets, so that whatever liquidity was in there, we would rotate out to whatever other more pent-up demand meets. So we will always aim to have about 20 to 40 assets at any given time, pairs. But once certain pairs die off in terms of open interest and volume, we'll sunset that in advance by communicating with our retail traders and our market makers over time. Then once it closes off, we'll move that liquidity into wherever we see there's enough demand for the new asset or an already existing pair that's already on our exchange.
All right, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing further progress you guys make.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Habibi, for that question. So let's have David. David, you can go ahead with your question.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
How you doing, Kevin?
Good.
Cool. I must say the project really sounds interesting. But then I have two questions. Well, let's see if time permits me. The first question is talking about liquidity. Liquidity often is the deciding factor between, let's say, success and failure for exchange. But then my question is, beyond incentive, are there any structural advantage that the Obsidian that the OBSDN offers after to attract and retain deep liquidity?
Sorry, what would you be able to rephrase the question? I'm just trying to understand, like what? Yeah, I think I'm not
All right,
understanding the
all
question.
right. I said beyond insensitive. I said what structural advantages does OBSDN offer to attract and retain deep liquidity?
Ah, yes, okay. This could be answered in many ways, but let me try to keep it simple. So because we're listing assets that are not available to trade anywhere, a lot of the market makers who will eventually, I hope, they'll get onboarded, aside from the ones that we brought in and are managing our liquidity with the money that we're giving them. We anticipate a future where once our product is live and people and market makers and liquidity providers see that there's incentives. And when I say incentives, I don't mean something that we're giving, but there's incentives in the spreads that we're providing and in the marginal economics that they can gain from the trades that we're giving, because we're the only place you can trade. The spreads are better for the market makers and the liquidity providers to be able to take and make money off of. It's a win-win situation where both the retail trader gets access to an asset that they usually can't get access to unless they live in those respective countries, and the market makers who are quoting these markets that are pretty new and are also risky on their part because they may not be as well acquainted with those markets, because you got to think about their hedging strategy and being able to market make for those markets. Because of that nature, they'll have better spreads, as in wider spreads, so they can make more margins off of those trades, meaning it incentivizes those people to provide liquidity eventually organically on our exchange. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, interesting. That answers the first part, but can I go on with the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. The project, if I'm mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it plans to introduce market around elections, weather, geopolitics, and macroeconomics events. But then how will this market be priced and settled fairly?
So because our main focus, we're not actually focusing on those elections, weather initially. We're going to be solely focused on equities that are not tradable initially. If we can prove the volume there and that there's enough demand there, then we can start looking at other categories for us to be able to list. So I know what you're asking, but I don't want to answer with something where it's all going to be in the future, but we're not going to execute it anytime soon, because if we can't generate fees off of the normal equities, it makes no sense to talk about the future where we are not positioned well enough to think that far.
Nice. Thank you, man. I think we'll give Moonshine the floor now, but I think if I have more, I'll go through the website and hop into DM for more questions.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, Davin, for jumping in to ask a question. So I picked up a question here from the chats from Paul. He's asking, what is the minimum deposit to start trading on Obsidian?
There's no minimum deposit amount that we're limiting. Like for example, our closed alpha launches next Monday. There's no I've already handpicked a couple people. It's still a few spots are more open. If you want those spots, DM me if you have either you have a lot of followers or you have an active trading community or you're a serious trader. Pitch it to me and I'll add you. There's no minimum deposit per se, but from the value that you're bringing, it's a win-win situation where we're trying to do best for people who would benefit the most and also help us in our initial reach and go to market.
All right, thank you so much for that, Paul. So another question from the chat from Mike is asking, will Obsidian support Wallet Connect standards like Wallet Connect or Coinbase Wallet?
Sorry, what are the standards for
So
wallet connection?
will Obsidian support wallets Connect standards like Coinbase wallets or
Yeah,
Wallet
we'll
Connect?
support it all. We'll yeah, any type of wallet.
Okay, so Shelby's asking, is there a referral affiliate program planned?
Yes, it's getting rolled out as we speak. I need to go through my list of people to give them specific codes or like just give them a nudge. But the affiliate program is live starting a few hours ago. It's our wait list that is the affiliate. You get your own code there or you use someone else's code, and if somebody else uses your own code, and if you hit, for example, 50 verified referrals, you get a certain rank, and then you can create your own team. And your own team, whoever signs up through your team, obviously you get better economics. And if you reach 75 verified referrals, you get a bump in the rev share, the rebate fee, and the discount fee, and vice versa. There's in total 4 tiers.
Nice. Okay, so let's have a live question from Tiker. You have your meter. You can go ahead with your question. Are you there? Okay, I think we don't have Tiker on the mic. So let's go ahead with Elsin. Elsin, you have your muted. You can go ahead with your question. I don't know what's happening. Are you there, Elsin?
Yeah, I am. Hi. Thank you, Moonshine, for the.
Okay. So let's just have one more question, right? So let's have Antoinette. Antoinette, you can go ahead with your question. I don't know what's happening. I think, let me just take one more question from the chat, right? So, let me see. Johnny's asking, what are there any regions or countries that will be restricted from using Obsidian at launch?
I mean, just to abide by laws, will restrict any countries that don't necessarily allow for perps. Yeah, and obviously it happens all the time with these perp dexes or any type of exchanges. I mean, the answer is VPN, right?
Okay, thank you for throwing in that question. Another question here says, has Obsidian undergone a third-party security audit?
Yes.
If yes, by whom?
Hexens? We'll be publicly announcing the report and everything soon.
Great. So another question here from, let me see, another question here from, this is the last question I'll be taking for today's AMA, right? Because I can see a lot of questions keeps coming too. So let me try to see one more question from the live question,
Hello.
right?
Can I speak?
Okay, Taika, you can go ahead with your question.
Hello, everyone. I'm Taj from Kenya. I'm a monad in the monad community. So I've been following. So yeah, Kevin, I wanted to know, since most DApps in monad don't have the KYC, so
Yeah.
I wanted to know if the Obsidian app to the DApp, also if it is decentralized. And also I wanted to know, since it's tradable stocks that are not listed anywhere else, maybe I know you're focusing majorly on the Asian markets. Do you think there's a time that will reach, or will you incorporate like maybe big companies from maybe Africa in the market?
Yes, definitely something that we're considering. If there's enough demand, we'll list it. It will always come down to, are enough people wanting it, and if so, we'll list it. And it also has to, if it's a big African company, I'm sure there's enough TradFi volume, because there's something I didn't realize until I started building this company, and I didn't understand as a retail trader. But it's all about, like, is there enough TradFi volumes? Because that allows for our market makers to be able to make those markets and list it effectively and give you guys the best quotes.
Yes, thank you. And maybe I'll DM you on Twitter so that maybe you can organize a space for the Kenyan Twitter community. No, there are so many people who would like to maybe hear from you.
Yeah, we'll be happy to.
Thank you so much, Taika, for throwing in that question. So thank you everyone for coming out here to ask questions. It's something, we really appreciate, because it kind of gives the project owner or the project team an overview of what you guys think, or the concerns or curiosity you guys may have of the project. So really, really appreciate you all for coming out to ask a question. And thank you to Kevin for taking out the time to share more about Obsidian and answering every question. It was an insightful learning about the project's vision and what they have or what they are building right now. So I just want to say thank you so much too as well. But guys, don't forget to follow Obsidian verified channels or official channels on X, on Telegram, to stay updated on their future developments. So before I close down the VC, Kevin, do you have any final concluding statements to give?
Yeah, thank you for hosting this, Moonshine and Dr. Felix, and anyone who has questions you weren't able to ask. I think you can. People are already DMing me, so you can definitely DM me on Telegram. I'll try to get to you. Happy to take many more questions if there's any. I'm on Telegram. I'm perpetually online, including X. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a great day, and see you guys in the next AMA.